Well, I know it seems crazy, but it's actually getting close to being renovation season, or at least here it's not that far off. And depending on where you live, it might be a little closer or farther away. But today we're going to talk about preparing for renovations, what you need to get in order, and then I'm going to spray a couple of these plots and get them going and ready for some renovation work, probably coming in early August for me. I'm going to be seeding some bluegrass, and I need some extra time with bluegrass to get it going. But let's get into the video and talk about some tips here for getting prepared for your renovations. So you can really start preparing for a renovation whenever you want, as early as you can really handle the grass being dead if you're going to be starting over and doing a full renovation with something. It's best case scenario to start it early though, so that you have a chance to make sure everything that you want to remove can get removed. Any weeds that start to come up during the process here of it being killed off, and then rainfall comes and different things happen where the weeds start emerging out of the ground again, you can spray those off and you start with as clean of a slate as possible. And this is how you get a really good start on a great renovation. Today is July 6th, and usually I try to start these around July 15th, but I'm going to start just a little bit earlier this year. We have some great weather happening right now, and also I'm planning to plant some bluegrass a little sooner this year to make sure I have enough time to get it good and established before the winter time comes. In the best case scenario, I would like to seed something like bluegrass about 10 weeks before we get our first freeze. And here in central Iowa, that is about October 10th or somewhere around there. So I'm going to start this early to make sure I have enough time to get it well and established before that happens. And also, because bluegrass is so slow anyway, this is a grass type that I like to start a little earlier. Now it can be a challenge because you are in the late summer here, and in August definitely when I do seed some of these, it can be a challenge to make sure you have enough irrigation and all of that stuff on it because of how hot it is. You have to watch some of those factors, but especially for bluegrass it takes a while. So if you're doing something though like perennial ryegrass especially, that is a lot faster to establish. That one I would probably wait a couple more weeks, or tall fescue also establishes usually fairly quickly too. So those you can wait a little longer on, but you could still start this renovation process early in terms of spraying things out. The more that you can get everything removed before you start the seeding, the better. Alright, so the label of most glyphosate products that you're going to get in the store, as far as the smaller ones that you might just get at Home Depot or something, usually lists lawn renovations as 2.5 ounces per 300 square feet. I'm not sure exactly why they do that in terms of not listing it out at 1,000 square feet like most of the things that we mix and put 1 gallon in the sprayer and spray it over 1,000 square feet. That's sort of the standard for most things. You can also look at it as a percentage of the solution. So today I'm actually going to do it at 3%, which comes out at 4 ounces per gallon per 1,000 square feet. I've actually went a little lower than that from time to time and still had fine results too. So I'm going to do 4 ounces per 1,000 and just see how that works out for me. So I also am just using my manual pump sprayer for this, and the reason is that I just don't like to mix glyphosate into any of my other sprayers. It's just a precaution that I use. I know many people do it and they rinse properly and do everything they need to do, and it's not an issue, but I just have an extra sprayer here that I like to use specifically just for this. Just no reason to really risk something that can remove all of your green stuff that you want to keep, basically, just because I actually have an extra sprayer here, so I'm just going to use this. You also want to make sure you're wearing proper things here: gloves, long sleeves. So what else do you need to do to prepare for a cool season lawn renovation? Well, you obviously need to get your seed. The earlier also that you can figure this out and make sure you can get the exact seed that you want and the proper quantity, the better that it's going to be. Sometimes later in the year, grass seed is not always completely abundant depending on what kind that you want to get. So I would recommend getting this earlier rather than later. You want to measure off your area in terms of square footage, so length times width, and then you want to go to whatever seed you want. It should give you a seeding rate as far as pounds per 1,000 square feet. So you need to make sure that you order enough seed or buy enough seed as far as pounds go, and also definitely get some extra, because there's going to be storms that happen most likely. There's going to be a little washout here or there. There's going to be something is going to happen as far as renovations go, usually to where you need a little extra seed to fix a spot or something like that. So definitely order a little extra as well, and don't be right on the edge of not having enough. If you'd like to know more about cool season lawn renovations, I have a full video, goes through the step-by-step if you'd like to know that. I also have a lawn renovation guide if you're more of a person that likes to read through something and see all of it in one package there. I do have that. And then also last year I made a video about cool season grass types and all this stuff going on back here as far as testing all of those and the grass seed that I do sell. So if you want to check that out and see some examples of what the grasses look like and what you might want, you can check out that video, and we have all of our grass seed on the website. Appreciate everyone who has supported that. We've had so many great customers over the last few years, and we'd love to have you as a customer as well. Second thing you need to do is make sure you have the proper equipment in order for your renovation, whether that's specific tools that you might need. If you happen to be wanting to do any leveling work or bringing in some soil or something to fix some spots, make sure you have that figured out and the tools that you're going to need to do that. Once everything is dead, I also like to use a dethatcher usually to tear through some of that dead material and make sure it's not too thick and matted, so the new seed has some room to get in there and get to the soil. Just think about the tools that you are going to need for the process and make sure you have those in order so you don't get to the day of wanting to do all this stuff and you're scrambling to get all that done. Third thing you're going to want to look at is what are you going to use to cover the seed. Now you can technically just put out your seed, and especially if you have some dead ground cover there from before, you don't absolutely have to cover it with something, but I would definitely recommend trying to level off the area as much as possible when you're doing a full renovation, get it as smooth as possible. And so at that point it would be a good idea, you probably have some bare soil sitting there, to get some sort of cover on that seed. It's also going to help with germination to keep the moisture there, and so overall it's something that I've had great luck with. So recently I've been using mostly straw blankets with great success to do this, and I get these locally at a big box store here. They come in pretty large rolls, so you have to roll them out and cut them and do all that for your area, but they do a great job of holding in moisture, and actually during storms as well I've had pretty good luck with them holding the seed where it needs to stay. The problem with the loose material, if you do decide to just use a top dressing of some kind, is that usually in any sort of major rainstorm it's going to wash around and it's going to wash away, and that's just a lot of money that you spent to cover it, a lot of time and everything, and then you probably have to redo it anyway in terms of another cover on top. So that's just my 2 cents about it. I do like the straw blankets. I don't leave them on very long. I just wait until I get to the germination stage and I see grass popping up through there. Then I remove those things. So I try to reuse them somewhere or use them in another way so that I'm not just wasting them, but prepare for something to cover the seed for best results. One of the most important aspects of any renovation, besides actually getting good grass seed, is irrigation. You have to have the water on there and consistently have some water for best results. Whether you have some sprinklers that you can set up for an area, maybe you can put them on a timer so that even when you're gone, you can get that water done when you're not even around. Or maybe you're going to build a DIY system like I had used previously in lots of different renovations, and you can kind of customize it for the space that you want. I had a lot of luck with that over the years, and I do have a video about how to build that and how I use that I will link as well. But otherwise, if you happen to have an in-ground irrigation system, awesome. That's going to be very helpful in getting the renovation done. I would highly recommend it if you're going to think about doing a renovation, a full renovation where you're getting rid of everything and starting over, to try to get the in-ground irrigation system done at the same time if you can. But if you can't do that, a DIY system will probably work for you. But if you do have that in-ground system, make sure that it's functioning properly. Make sure that the heads are working properly, it's spraying exactly where it needs to. So check on all this before you have the seed down and you realize, oh, I've got to fix a whole sprinkler head or something and you need to tear up some area. So get all that in order, and your watering is going to be very important. You need to stay consistent with it. Keep things from drying out as much as possible and you'll have great results. Make sure also to think about your fertilizer. If you have never done a soil test and you're wanting to know what types of fertilizer should I target or what's going on in my soil so that I know if I'm really low on pH or really high, this would be a good time while you have that blank slate too to do a soil test. If you want to learn more about that, I of course have videos about that too. But otherwise, usually a starter fertilizer for most people on renovations is going to be something that you're going to use. So plan to get that ahead of time. And then with all this prep work that you've done and the patience while the seed is growing in, I know you're going to have a fantastic yard in the end. It just takes some time and it takes some effort. The more that you can prepare for all this ahead of time, I think the happier you will be in the end. I hope these tips today help you to figure out how to prepare for your renovations and get started very soon. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.